Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate. And today we have a special guest, two special guests actually. We've got Rachel and Candice. Candice, of course, is part of the Decker team.
Yep.
And I'm Ken Decker. And we have Rachel. So Rachel, you've recently had a transaction with the Decker team. You
Sure have, yeah.
your first home.
I did, yes.
That's very exciting.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's been good.
So we're going to talk a little bit today about your experience working with the Decker team, your experience of picking a home, why you picked that particular home, what your goals were and how that worked out, how long it took, all kinds of things we're going to talk about. So it's going to be a great show. So, if you're driving, pay attention to the road. And if you're just listening at home, grab a comfortable seat. It's going to be a fun probably
ride.
about 28 minutes. Okay. So, go ahead, Candice.
So, Rachel, you bought your first home just a month ago, really.
Yeah.
And when did the process start for you? Because it was your first buying experience, right?
It was, yeah. So it had been something I'd kind of been thinking about for quite a while. And we were talking, about 4 years ago, I went to one of the seminars that the Decker team has, kind of a first-time home buyer seminar, and just kind of started thinking and started to figure out kind of what I would need to have in place before I purchased a home, and what I needed to know before I started the journey. So about 4 years ago was when I started thinking about it, and then probably back in the summer, so I would say maybe August, I contacted the Decker team and we really started kind of actually looking at specific properties with an idea of what I would be buying.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what you went through. First of all, you went to the first-time buyer seminar. We call it a home buyer's workshop now.
Yeah.
We've renamed it.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes people, they bought other homes, they just want a refresher or whatever. So it's not necessarily just for first-time buyers. But what kind of things did you learn there, or what did you take away from that first step?
So back 4 years ago, it's kind of hard to remember. I don't have a great memory. But I remember feeling a little more confident in terms of what terms meant, what a mortgage was, what an offer was, and how you go about placing an offer and that kind of thing. So really for me, that was just an introduction to real estate as a whole, and what is involved in it. And it was a good experience to just kind of get the ball rolling and start me thinking along the lines of purchasing a property.
Okay, so we kind of talk about the process, the steps to getting qualified to buy a home and all that sort of thing. Now, would you recommend it to other buyers to take that workshop?
It was free.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just an evening. You had chocolate chip cookies, fresh baked. I don't know if they still do, but that was a pretty big highlight.
Well, it stuck in your memory.
Yeah, it
must have
did.
been.
4 years. That's the main thing I remember. No. But I just remember that it was a really good experience to learn and to be able to ask questions. And sometimes, I'm the kind of person who I'd Google something, but then you get a whole variety of opinions and you can't really ask questions back and forth. So this was just good to kind of seek clarification on terms that I had no idea what we were going with. And it was really good kind of starting at ground zero.
Okay, awesome. So our next home buyers workshop is actually scheduled for February the 18th. It's a Thursday evening. And if you'd like to register for that, you can give us a call at 613-860-4663, or you can email us at info@deckerteam.com. And we'd love to hold a seat for you so you could experience that. There's no selling there. There's
no, it was
pressure.
not a pressureful thing at all.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
an information night.
I got a call maybe a little bit later asking if I was interested in, getting things moving, and I kind of said no, not at this point. And then there was really no pressure from there. I think maybe once a year, Ryan would give me a call and just say, are you thinking about it yet? And when I'd say no, he'd say, no, perfect, give us a call at BR. So really it didn't add any pressure or anything to me.
Okay, awesome.
And it was in a group setting, right?
Yeah.
So you could ask questions and not feel like you were pressured one-on-one.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how did you decide to pick the Decker team?
Well, really it was that I had known Ryan a little bit in high school, not really well, And then my parents had worked with Yetta before, and I had friends who'd gone with the Decker team who had good experiences. And so all that together kind of made it a really natural fit for me, because I wanted people who I felt would value the relationship that they built with me and who wanted to earn my trust and wanted to continue that relationship. So, and it had always been positive interactions up to that point. So for me, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Okay. So Rachel, you worked with several of the members on the Decker team from time to time, based on availability and that sort of thing. And how did you find that process with working with a few of us?
I found it very seamless. You know, I thought, you know, maybe if I was going to be getting a different realtor, if, you know, I had been working with Ryan and then to switch over, but it seemed like the communication between you all was really good. And I didn't have to kind of re-explain what I was looking for, or I didn't have to clarify things as much as I thought I would maybe have to. And everyone was great. Like, everyone was very personable, and it was, a good experience.
Yeah, and I guess the way it turned out, actually, a property came up and you wanted to see that particular property because it met your criteria. And Candice wasn't available, so I actually showed you the house. And you kind of ruled it out, but then...
Sure did.
But then went back to it.
And
ultimately negotiated with Candice to buy that particular property. Then did you go back into it after a second time, after I showed it to you the first time?
No, I had it lined up, and then Candice gave me a call and let me know that there was an offer going to be put in on it. And so I kind of was like, oh no, I don't want to lose that one. So it was pretty funny, but I was working at a friend's house that day. They were in a rush to get their house ready to move in that weekend, and so I couldn't really leave the house that I was working on. So she drove over and brought the papers, and there was no furniture in the house, no counter, no kitchen. So on the floor of the living room, you know, I signed my offer, and then got a call later that night that it was accepted. So it was kind of a whirlwind of a day. But I'd only seen it once, but I had scheduled to go see it a second time, but I put the offer in before I went to go see it the second time.
Awesome.
So it was about an hour between me calling you to say, you know, there is an offer. Do you want to do anything about it, or just view the other house we had scheduled to see? And you said, no, let's do the offer now. So we had a really tight time frame, and yet we were able to make it work, which was great.
Yeah, no, I really appreciated. I felt like you were kind of dropped everything to come make that happen, and so I felt pretty valued and really appreciated that.
Awesome.
Well, and that's part of having a team and the support that we have with our administrative support, our client care coordinator, and those type of people here in the office, because, you know, Candice can call and say, hey, I need an offer typed, I'm on my way there, you know, I'll pick it up, and that's the way we kind of operate, so it gets done really quickly and efficiently. Because sometimes time's of the essence in real estate. So that's excellent. So what about financing? You said it took 4 years. Was some of that some of that getting financially
Well, that was just
prepared?
life and waiting and kind of seeing what was going on. But a little bit, you know, getting financially prepared and getting to a place where, you know, I would have a down payment that I wanted to put down. And then also just kind of being ready for the step of home ownership and feeling like I was responsible enough and life was kind of stable enough to go for it. So
where were you living before?
Just an apartment here in the city, a nice apartment.
So you were renting?
Yeah, I was renting.
Okay, excellent. And did you go to a mortgage broker? Did you go to a bank? Or?
Yeah, so I went to More Than Enough, which was kind of recommended to me through the Deckers. They said, this is one option, and so being someone who's just kind of like, sure, I'll go there. And it was a really good experience as well. It really helped me understand my finances, understand what I could afford and what I wanted to afford. I found there was a difference between that. I could afford a certain amount, but it would mean I would have no life other than paying for things on the house. And so for me, it was a really, really beneficial experience to just kind of go through everything with Dave and sit down and look at not just, you know, my income and how much I could put towards a house, but how much I wanted for other things in life. Because I don't want my house to be an all-consuming thing. So
you didn't want to be house broke?
I did not, no. No.
And what's interesting is most financial institutions don't go through that. For instance, they don't ask you if you tithe to a church. They don't ask you what charities you want to support. They just look at your income, your debt loads, and say this is what you can afford. And that's not always how much you want to spend.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Said, so.
You know, Dave went through and, you know, how much do I want to spend on eating out a month? Do I still, you know, want to be able to go do that? Do I want to go on trips? Do I want to, how much do I want to be saving and that kind of thing? So he really, like, his spreadsheets were really detailed, and he gave them to me to take home and do, and then we could talk over them or do them together if I wanted. So he was really flexible in that way. And it was really helpful for me because I was able to really figure out what I wanted to afford, and so I could stick to that.
Wow, sounds like a whole financial plan
for
you as opposed to
it was great.
Just, you're qualified for a certain amount of money.
It really was kind of, and planning for the future as well, so it was really helpful.
That's terrific.
And the things that were important to you in a house, some of that was possible renovations to make it suit you. So tell us a little bit about what you were looking for in a house. So a really big thing for me was that I wanted it to have some income potential. So I wanted to be able to put an apartment or in-law suite, that kind of thing, in the home. So I knew that would be some renovations right there. So that was pretty big. And I'm also a fairly picky person, so in terms of design and how it looks. So I wanted a bit of a fixer-upper because I didn't want to be buying something that someone else had done all these beautiful finishes on really recently that I was going to be like, don't like that, and rip it all out. So
that's interesting. So what you just said, if our listeners didn't hear it, was you're picky about how you wanted things to look.
Yeah.
So you actually wanted a fixer-upper.
Yeah.
So you could make it exactly the way
you wanted. Bit of a control freak. I want it my way.
Rather than how someone else had
even if it's beautiful. And, you know, but if it wasn't what I wanted, I knew it would be something I would want to redo. So why pay for what someone else has already done?
And typically when you're buying a fixer-upper, you can get quite a bit better price than if you're buying something that's in pretty good condition. Yeah, really cool. All right, so what did you end up finding?
The perfect little place for me. It's, it really is a great little home. It's a little 2-bedroom bungalow with a separate side entrance, and there was already an existing kitchen and partial bathroom down there. So in terms of creating a income property, a lot of kind of the plumbing and rough-ins and that kind of stuff was already done. So it's basically, for the most part, just redoing finishes. There's a bit of structural work and adding different windows and that kind of thing, but for most of it, it really is just changing out the finishes, which is great because I want the finishes the way I want them. So,
and the windows was more for security, like egress.
Egress.
Fire
so just
escape.
replacing the windows in the basement because they were old, and so expanding a couple of those, and then just replacing the others because they were old. But the house that I did buy, major updates have been done in terms of, you know, windows and roof and that kind of thing, but finishes haven't been touched. So really, it was just perfect.
Now remind me, was the bathroom pink?
Or very pink.
It was very pink. Okay, it was very retro.
And so were the carpets all over the main level. So a lot of pink, a lot of orange.
Yeah.
And I like pink fine, just not that much.
So you've got some big plans for it? Have you started?
Yeah. I took possession of the house on December 22nd, and a lot of my family was down for Christmas and had the week off, so put them to work.
Nice.
And awesome. So it's it looks like a giant wrecking crew. I had a finished house, and now I have a very unfinished house. But we're starting to put it back together, and it's been pretty fun.
Well, Ryan likes demo. If you ever have demo,
all right,
just
perfect.
Call Ryan. He loves.
Should have had him the whole week between Christmas and New Year's. There's a lot of breaking. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team, and I have Candice and Rachel. And Candice, of course, is a realtor on our team, and also my daughter.
Yeah.
And Rachel has recently purchased a home through the Decker team, and we're just talking about your experience and what it's like to buy your first property. So were you really excited when you got the key? Like, did you?
I think I was a bit more in shock.
Were you? Okay.
Well, when I found out I got the house, it was definitely more very shocked. I had put in an offer that I really didn't think they would accept.
And we were in multiple offers,
Yeah.
so we were competing as
Yeah.
well, right?
And I really didn't think I would get it. I mean, I wanted it, but I knew what I could spend, and so knew what I needed to still have in order to do the repairs, or not repairs, but the changes that I wanted to do. So I put in my offer of, what I wanted, and they accepted it. So that was pretty crazy. But picking up the keys, it still didn't really feel quite real. No. But I went over that night and plugged the Christmas lights in. They'd already put Christmas lights up, and then it started to feel a little bit more real. Yeah.
So they left you the Christmas lights?
They did, thankfully, because I would have been too lazy to go put those up when I wasn't even living there. But
wow,
they're still up, I think, and they're still on.
And are you living there now? Or?
No,
you're still renovating.
Yeah. So it was a fairly short closing, so I still have my apartment for another month.
Okay.
And it's kind of unlivable right now. So yeah.
Right, so that overlap was a big bonus
perfect.
for you.
Yeah, huge bonus.
And your apartment, did you pay the last month?
I had paid last month, 2 or 3 years ago. So it's perfect.
So that's already covered.
Yep.
And your mortgage is paid after you live there, so that's paid later.
Yep.
So you got that kind of overlap where you don't have to make payments.
Exactly.
So
it's great.
Very good. Okay. So tell me a little bit about what you're dreaming about doing with this house. You've torn it apart now. What are you putting back in?
Really just new finishes. So upstairs where I'm going to be living is mostly just ripping out old carpet and some old tile, and there's beautiful hardwood underneath. So it just needs some refinishing. Hasn't been painted in probably 20 years or so, I'd say. So it just needs repainted. But I mean, when they left the house, they went through and cleaned the whole thing. Like, they were so sweet, left some nice notes, and it smelled great. It looked great. Wow. So it was really cleaned nicely. So I've made a huge mess of it now. But yeah, so just kind of redoing the finishes in the bathroom for now. Got rid of all the pink. I think we're going to go with white, kind of boring, but that's what I like. And then we're working on the basement apartment right now, putting that in. So.
Okay, so kitchens and things like that will wait?
The main kitchen. I think I'm going to paint the cabinets just because I can. Okay. But other than that, I think that's about all I'm going to do up there. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
And then it will be a 1-bedroom apartment in the basement, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it had been just kind of a big rec room, and then they did have a little, I guess they call it a sauce kitchen down there. And we're leaving that kitchen and then just kind of adding a bedroom, adding some storage, and reconfiguring a bit, but really keeping most of what was existing.
Adding a wall for a bedroom.
Yes, a little bit of privacy.
Yeah. Great.
So how did you know when it was the right one?
I don't know. I'm not really one to be like, oh, it's the one. You know what I mean? I think for me, I knew there would be houses out there that would work. And I guess really how I knew it was the right one is that the offer got accepted. So that made it the one. Okay. But I knew the prerequisites I had for the home, and I knew how much I could spend, and other things were just kind of added bonuses. So
how many houses did you see before?
I would say probably 10 to 15, about. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So not tons and tons, but I would go online every day because I had the automated listing thing. I don't know what you call it, but all the listings.
Home finder
there
system.
You go.
Yes.
Yeah. And it would show up on my email every time a new home with my
criteria.
Criteria. Thank you. Yeah. Showed up, and then I would look at it, and if it interested me, I would, text Candice or. Fill in the note and talk to the client care coordinator, I guess, is what they're called. And they would book a showing as soon as we could. So, but in total, I would say about 10 to 15 homes we saw.
Okay, great.
And we had also placed an offer on another home prior to that as well. And in another multiple scenario where it was a great value for the property, they had priced it such for that, and there was quite a few offers. So again,
there was 8 offers on that one.
Yeah,
8, that's a lot of offers.
Yeah. And we again had looked at your finances, what made sense for an offer, what kind of renovations would go in. I think we also did a pre-building inspection. to set us up for a great offer and that.
Oh, so you did a pre-building inspection before the offer?
Yeah. So for this one particular home that they had really priced unbelievably for the location, they had asked for that, so they kind of wanted everything already in place. So I figured in order, I didn't have necessarily all the extra money to throw at it, so I figured, well, I'll at least meet their conditions, and thankfully I know someone who was willing to do the home inspection for me. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And so how did you know how much to offer?
Really, for me, it was I had a budget and I wanted to stick to it. And so for this particular home, I knew that I would be very comfortable with the offer I made and then the amount that I had left over in order to put into renovations. So, yeah, I just really crunched my numbers a little bit beforehand, and I'd done, some figuring on how much these different things would cost to put in, and asked friends and other people who, work in those trades or do that kind of work. And they were able to give me kind of approximates of how much that would cost. And then I was just able to calculate it that way.
Great. And now, do you have an estimate of what you're going to rent your basement apartment out for?
Not right now. I had one. And then I talked to my neighbors. So after I moved into the home, I went to go meet my neighbors. And I guess I haven't told Candice this part, or maybe I did.
No.
But I went to go meet my neighbors, and they were incredibly friendly. And their house is the exact same layout as mine. And they bought it a year and a half ago, and they put a basement apartment in.
Okay.
So they put a basement apartment in, which is 2 bedrooms, and they're getting $1,350 a month for it, which was way more than I was, planning on renting it out for. So I'm still figuring out and deciding, but I was thinking about $900-950 a month probably.
Okay. And so you're going to get roughly $1,000 a month in income?
Yep.
And roughly, do you know what your mortgage payment is?
Yep. $1,100 a month.
$1,100.
Wow.
Yep.
So almost your mortgage payment's going to
Yeah.
be covered by the rental.
Yep, absolutely.
You're a smart
huge.
gal.
Well, got a lot of good advisors in my life. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. So what would you recommend if someone was out there and they're renting, they're paying, $1,000, $1,500 a month for a rent? What would you recommend for that person?
I guess for me, it was, for a little while, it was worth renting. While I was kind of figuring out, where my life was, where my job was, what I was going to be doing, it was worthwhile. But once I felt things were stable and kind of could see the future a little bit, it made sense to really invest my money in a home. So.
Okay. So what steps would you recommend they take?
Oh dear. What steps? Well, one thing is to figure out what you want and kind of what your budget is and what's realistic in terms of the income you make. For me, that was pretty important because I didn't want to be getting myself into a situation where I was struggling to pay every month. And also what lifestyle you live and what you're willing to sacrifice and what you're not willing to sacrifice. Now I have to shovel my own driveway. That was an acceptable sacrifice, but it was something I had to consider. And I was like, oh, in my apartment, it all gets done for me. But thankfully, we've got no snow this winter, so it's perfect. And just a little side note, someone keeps coming to plow my laneway at my new house. I don't know who it is. A little mystery person. So it was an old lady who lived there before, so I think they probably think she still lives there and they're being kind to her. So
That's lovely.
yeah, it's great. I put up a little note saying you don't have to keep doing this. Anyways,
But thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. The biggest thing was just really to figure out kind of the financing that I wanted.
So you recommend getting a hold of more than enough and doing that
just
process?
Doing a real budget instead of kind of just looking at your income and assets and that kind of thing. But what do I want to afford?
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to take a second and do a little advertising on a couple of our featured properties. And Candice, you've got a lovely property in Riverside South.
I do. It's a 4-bedroom detached home backing on the ravine. So not many in there, backing a ravine.
On the ravine, on a quiet street.
A quiet street.
Tree lined.
Yeah.
We could write an ad like that. That would be awesome.
We could. Yeah, so lots of privacy. It's actually on the side of the path as well, so you're you have a lot of privacy that way. You're not looking into someone else's home as well when you're looking outside of the house in the front.
Is it on a cul-de-sac?
It's on a cul-de-sac.
Wow.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Very modern home, 2-story. Also has a loft upstairs on the 2nd story. Just gorgeous.
Okay, so something good family home.
Yeah.
Good lifestyle.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then speaking of lifestyle, I have one that's it's on Prince of Wales Drive, between North Gore and Manotick, basically, and on almost 6 acres. Beautiful country home, lots of wood stove in the kitchen area. You know, it's got the loft over the summer kitchen place, and it's just one of those feel-good country homes, and yet only minutes to Barrhaven, to shopping and all the amenities. Great property. So if you want information on either of those or any property, actually, we have access to every property on the MLS. You can give us a call at 613-860-4663 and ask whatever you need. Information.
Also about buying your first home or buying a home, we'd love to sit with you. One of the things we did with Rachel was sat down and looked at what things she wanted in a home and what made sense as well. So.
Okay, and that's about a 45-minute free consultation, about an hour.
Right. Yeah,
answer all the questions and find out exactly what she was looking for, put that criteria into our system and our great home finder system.
Yes.
And so we'd love to do that for you as well. Whether it's your first home, your second home, your third home, whatever it is, we can help you out. Give us a shout, 613-860-4663. And thanks for tuning in to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker Team.
What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you.